Broadcasting live from the Albay Pio News Center, providing you the most exclusive news updates from all over the province. This is 12 o'clock Newsbreak. For the local news, to better protect the integrity of the police, the PNP Bicol conducted random drug testing among its personnel on Monday. Led by PRO5 Acting Regional Director Police Brigadier General Andre Perez Dizon, 112 PNP Bicol personnel were the first to undergo drug testing. The results of such drug testing will be released next week. According to PB Gen Dizon, this was done to ensure that PNP Bicol policemen stay away from illegal activities when it comes to illegal drugs. In another story, the Albay Provincial Health Office has urged parents with children and teenagers aged 1 to 19 years old to allow their kids to undergo deworming. Anthony Ludovice, PHO Soil Transmitted Helminths Program Coordinator, said they target to deworm a total of 473,000 persons for the first batch of their intensified deworming program, starting this January as part of the country's observation of National Deworming Month. He said they are expecting to finish the target number of children and teenagers by April this year. In another news, Department of Labor and Employment Regional Office on Tuesday said that parents and guardians of profiled child laborers and a disadvantaged worker in 2 Bicol provinces have received livelihood assistance from the government. Dole Bicol spokesperson Johanna V. Gasga said the aid will help the 118 beneficiaries from Camarines Norte and Albay by enhancing livelihood opportunities, addressing unemployment and income disparities, and eliminating child labor. Gasga said 2.7 million pesos worth of tools and equipment for various business ventures were distributed in separate ceremonies over the weekend. The tools and equipment were for food vending, welding, burger stand, laundry service, vulcanizing, and health and nail care services, among others. In the national scene, the Professional Regulation Commission or PRC on Monday, January 8, announced the date for the online oath-taking of new social workers. The oath-taking ceremony will be held online via Zoom or Microsoft Teams on January 12 at 10 a.m. and will be spearheaded by the PRC Legazpi City. PRC stated that inductees must wear formal or business attire and use a white backdrop, either a white physical background or a virtual one, throughout the oath-taking ceremony. PRC emphasized that attendees should secure an online appointment schedule at online.prc.gov.ph and select e-oath as the transaction type. It reminded that the online registration will close 5 calendar days before the virtual oath-taking event. Meanwhile, the Quiapo Church has concluded the translation of the Black Nazarene as the image officially arrived at the Quiapo Church in Manila at 7:45 p.m. on January 9, earlier than the end of the procession in 2020. Translation marks the transfer of the Black Nazarene, a 17th century image of Jesus Christ carrying his cross, from the Church of San Juan Bautista in Luneta to its new home, the Quiapo Church. The parade of the image is believed to be miraculous and is considered the biggest religious event in the country, wherein millions of devotees participate. The number of devotees is the main reason why the procession of the image takes too long before it arrives at Quiapo Church. Intense security protocols were imposed and thorough preparations were made for its most awaited return after a 3-year hiatus during the COVID-19 pandemic. In another news, the Department of Agriculture imposed a ban on the importation of all poultry products from Belgium and France in response to the recent outbreaks of highly pathogenic avian influenza in domestic birds in the European nations. Agriculture Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. said the import bans, which also cover wild birds, imposed on the neighboring European countries were necessary to prevent the possible entry of HPAI H5N1 into the Philippines. H5N1 is a strain of virus responsible for avian influenza, commonly known as bird flu. Belgium and France both reported outbreaks of bird flu in domestic birds to the WOAH almost simultaneously, with the former submitting its report on December 1, 2023, and the latter on November 30, 2023. For the international news, U.S. Justice Department said that a U.S. Navy petty officer who pleaded guilty to providing sensitive military information to a Chinese intelligence officer was sentenced to more than 2 years in prison on Monday. Wenheng Zhao, 26, and another U.S. sailor, Jin Chao Wei, were arrested in August on suspicion of spying for China. Zhao pleaded guilty in a federal court in California in October to charges of conspiring with a foreign intelligence officer and accepting a bribe. He was sentenced on Monday to 27 months in prison and a $5,500 fine. According to U.S. officials, Zhao, who was stationed at a naval base north of Los Angeles, received nearly $15,000 from a Chinese intelligence officer between August 2021 and May 2023. Wei, who served on the amphibious assault ship the USS Essex, is accused of handing over to China dozens of documents, photos, and videos detailing the operation of ships and their systems. In another news, U.S. President Joe Biden reached out to black voters on Monday in an emotional campaign speech at the site of a racist massacre in 2015. U.S. President Joe Biden departs the White House in Washington, D.C. on January 5, 2024, and travels to Pennsylvania to speak at a campaign event. Biden said the poison of white supremacy had no place in America in his address at the Mother Emanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina, where 9 black parishioners were murdered by a racially motivated killer. And finally, in the news outside the country, United Airlines said Monday it has discovered loose bolts on Boeing 737 MAX 9 planes in its fleet during preliminary inspections following an Alaska Airlines mid-flight incident. United Airlines has found instances that appear to relate to installation issues in the door plug, for example, bolts that needed additional tightening. Alaska Airlines passenger plane made an emergency landing after the door plug component blew out. United has canceled 200 MAX 9 flights since the incident and expects significant cancellations on Tuesday. And that ends our news break for today, January 10, 2024. We'll be back tomorrow for more news updates. Thanks to our 12 o'clock news break writer Joy Duque, and on the technical side, Chad Bobis. Pinch hitting for Mr. Greg Haliare. This has been your anchor for today. I'm Ella SILERIO. Thank you for subscribing.